Good afternoon. Yang berusaha Tuan Nomano Mindabu, Pengarah IPGK Kampus, Pendidikan Teknik. Yang berusaha Dr. Muhammad Nordin bin Abu Bakar, Timbaran Pengarah IPGK Pendidikan Teknik, or the KJ and KU, or my respective colleagues and students. I would like to thanks to the IPGKBT give me a chance to have a speech on this stage for a deep talk. My name is Tan Tong Hock, work as a head of graduate study department. We provide master program in pedagogy. Therefore, writing a research and publish an article is a need. So today I would like to share how to write an article in a science journal. There are 5 things have to do before writing your article. So the first is you have to think about why you want to publish your work and whether it is publishable. As a master student, we have to know that publish an article that is a need in our program of learning. Therefore, choose the target of journal is important, whether the journal is in Scopus or in high index journal. You have to pay attention to the journal requirement in the guide of the author, and then also pay attention to the structure of the paper according to the format requirement, and understand the publication ethic to avoid the violations. When you want to publish a paper, you need to look for a proper specialized journals in the field with a good reputation and ranking accounted by a known institution. Make sure that your paper is within the journal scope and interest. Therefore, you need to refer to the guides of the author as well in the journal they have provided. It takes a long time to publish in a good journal, not less than 6 months. Some of them they still carry for maybe for 12 months or a year, as your paper has to pass through the journal editor and also the reviewer. That's why you have to edit and then you have to review again for your paper before you have success to publish. ISI journal with a high impact factor are most of the best journal internationally. So when you write an academic article journal, so you need to go through normally the format that is required by the article journal. Therefore, some of the things you have to need to consider. The first thing is the title, abstract, and also the keyword. That is the most important thing you must do before you start your writing. So for the title, you have to know that title don't be too long. Normally, there are less than 12 words is possible, and good research paper title typically 10 to 12 words long only. So title don't be too catchy. As a conventional article, there is not use acronyms in the title without spelling them out. Therefore, you need to write your full names in the title for the presenting, unless there are the abbreviation in the widely known such as HIV or BMI, IQ or EQ. They're well known, therefore you can just put it on. Otherwise, you need to spell or write in full for all the titles given. And irony and humor in the title should be avoided. So writing a title for the conventional research, you just spit out. So what is the purpose or what is the main subject that you need to investigate? So use the descriptive terms and phrases that accurately highlight the core content of the paper. So in search engine terms, the title of your article is the most interesting element. If your title is more suitable and well known, so the other researcher they will easily to search your paper in the search engine. So think about the search term that readers are likely to use when looking for the article on the same topic as you. And then the following after the title, you need to write the abstracts. You can build your abstract by answering the following question with 1 or 2 sentences for each one. So this is the most important thing before you write your abstract. So what is the biggest, more general field your article related to? So what is the purpose of your article, and what is type of methodology you have used? What are the key results, and what are the practical implications of your research? So this is all will affect your good in writing your abstract or not. So most probably the abstract they are encouraged to write in 300 words, that is the maximum. Sometimes 150 words, or ideal is 200 words only. So in the article, we have to avoid the sentences like the article explore, or in this article, I will do A, B, and C, or I argue that, I show that, and so on. This is an example for you to write the good abstract. So in abstract, they have normally divided into 5 portions. The first is about the short introduction. You have to mention generally what the field you do for the research, and then what is the purpose or aims of the work, and then come on with the design methodology or approach you have used, and the fourth part is your finding. So finally, you need to put in the practical implication to fulfill your abstracts. Okay. During abstract, you also need to give the keywords. The keyword is the important information because the keywords points the researcher to the relevant paper. So keywords make your paper searchable and ensure that you get more citation. So think for the point of view of the reader, what keywords would the reader search for that would help retrieve your article. So keywords should ideally be phrases 2 to 4 words. Single word keywords are acceptable, but they may lead to many false matches. So sometimes you have to think for the special one. Okay. In preparing your manuscript, they have some stage. For the first stage, you must begin with the general statement about a field of the research to provide the reader with a setting for the problem to be reported. And within this stage, you have to read through the literature, and the literature must be up to date. The better literature is within 5 years. Okay, so please discuss on the importance of the topic towards the society, school effectiveness, and etc. So here are some significant phrases that you can use. For example, topic A has a long debate history among the previous researchers, or more recent attention have focused on the importance of topic A to a large number and growing body for literature study on A, and etc. So in second stage, more specific statement about the aspect of the problem already studied by other researchers. Reports on current previous study within the same topic, for example, John's 2014 reports on, or in 2013, Hamidia reviews that one recent study by Max Groh. This is all have to report in your study. So prove that this topic is a relevant topic to examine, explore, or investigate. In third stage, statement that indicate the need of more investigation, research gap, or novelty for the study that is important. So you can use the phrases such as to date, only a few study that investigate the prevalence of the current issue, or currently study that related to the finding are considered very limited, or there is still little features data on. So this is within the problem statement. So it is important for the reader to know why or what contribution for your article. In the fourth stage, you have to very specific the statement given in the purpose objective of the writer's study. So in this stage, you must give the author or give the reader very specific for what is the objective of this paper too, and what is your aim for this paper, and this paper is seeks to address the following research question. So normally in the article, you have to put out the objective, either your aims, or maybe you straight away give the research question. So in fifth stage, there is a significance of the study. You must highlight that the significance of your study through a few approaches. So for example, this is a new knowledge to be discovered within your scope for the content, for what is the remain or left unknown by the previous researcher, yet the objective of your paper is still to fill the gaps. That's why you need to carry on this uh, investigation. Okay, so for example, the finding of the study will help, or the result will fill the gaps that were left by the previous researchers on. In last stage, please state either your research objective or research question, maybe one or two on each will do. Please don't list all your research question or research objective in your paper, because it will be too lengthy, which sometimes not interest to be reviewed. Following in your article, you have to write out for the methodology. In writing the method section, this section should be very detailed and accurate without being too detailed, so must be given the sufficient info to the reader to allow reader to adequate the assess the sufficiency of the method. Refer to similar types of articles that have been published in terms of how to organize this section. Try writing this section following a clear and linear narrative style using man and woman instead of the male and female. Okay, so normally in research methodology, you have to state out your study design, and then what is your sample, okay, and then the procedure for ensure the ethic consideration in research with the human subjects, and what is your data collection, what the instrument you have used, state the name of the instrument, the questionnaire you use, state who developed the instrument for the author, year, design by whom, and also what you need to carry out the validity and reliability. In data analysis, you have to base on the research question or hypothesis to state out what type of data analysis you have gone through, whether it is a quantitative or qualitative. You can use past tense but active voice. So here is some example for the research design. At first, you must state out so what type of study design it has. So like for this example, in methodology, given descriptive and exploratory nature of the research question and holistic understanding desire, this study used the quantitative multi-cases study design. So this will help the reader to understand what type of research design you have done. In result finding, report result story briefly. Like, we found that from the test of the measurable model according to the journal's format. So follow the style of the journal. For example, some journal they need you to use the symbol of alpha less than 0.5, or some use the capital P less than 0.5, and other use the small letter p less than 0.05. So you have to according to the format of the journal. Okay, the data representation must be concise and accurate, so consistent with the abstract and introduction. So what you have done inside your report results finding, you must look back what is your objective, what's your research question, and why you have staged in your abstract. So given the table and figure where needed with the sufficient information so that a minimum text is required. Don't repeat information in graphic and text. So, and then the most important thing is to avoid the speculation and discussion in reporting result. Okay, the reporting result is not in this place. Use the conventional form of reporting data like table, figure, statistical analysis. If necessary, refer to the published paper in your intended journal. So do not be redundant in data representation. Choose the most effective way for presenting your data. State result in the order that correspond to the order of the hypothesis as presented in the introduction. Use the non-significant instead of insignificant if analysis does not yet an acceptable level of the significance. All statistical symbols are italicized, so be consistent in use of unit and decimal places. Decimal places in one column of a table should always be aligned. So when reporting means standard deviation should always be reported. So report effective size or some measure of effect size whenever possible. Data and statistical results should be reported only once. Data should never be represented in multiple forms. Refer to table and figure at least one in the text or body of the manuscript. So this is the example for reporting result. To make strong the statement, you have to write out we conclude or instead of it may be conclude. So to keep the convince of your reader. So you can present the reporting descriptive data or in statistical like SPSS. This is all the example of reporting result in table form. Okay. After reporting your result, to come up with the discussions. Before embarking of discussion, very briefly summarize your finding. Highlight how your finding related to existing literature. Start discussing your finding, like discuss the similarity or differences on other research that you have gone through in your literature review. So you must state out your literature review, what the finding you have found in your research investigation or practical, the implication, educated the speculation. And then for refer to the previous research, you might write down as this result support the idea for, or this finding confirmed that the previous study by, or unexpected significant outcomes. Okay, so please report on the significant or new finding that might some impact or implication on the body of knowledge. For example, significantly or surprisingly. Discuss a research finding based on the research question. Give your opinion. Why are the findings obtained as they are? Need to have the support and justification from the literature review. Avoid from just writing the literature review is aligned with the research finding. So you need to give your justification about what you have found or the research findings support the research of. Creativity is needed in writing your discussion. For example, the current result adds to the research findings that are aligned with the aspect of. However, from the aspect of the research finding is in line with the research of. However, the research is focused on, and the research findings show that there are some data that could expand the finding obtained by Niropa and CT and so on. So this is a type how we are going to discuss according to the previous research you have found in your literature review. In the implication and suggestion, you might give the example like to policy, training the method, selection, system or procedure, or to improve your methodology constraint or limitation of your study. And result and discussion section is the most important part of the manuscript in which critical analysis of the result are done. Any limitation of this result presented or techniques used in the study are also to be highlighted in this section. In conclusion, this is the final stage in your article. This section should reinforce the originality of the words presented, look back at your objective and highlight your significant finding, and restatements of the paper's aim. For example, this paper have argued that, or in this investigation we assess, and so on. Okay, so here is a final stage. After you have write out your article, you might have the checklist using this procedure, or you think that does the paper contain the sufficient new material, and then is the topic within the scope of the journal? Is it presented concisely and well organized? Are the method and experiments presented in a way that they can be replicated again? Are the results presented adequately? Is the discussion relevant, concise and well documented? Are the conclusions supported by the data presented? Is the language acceptable? Are figure and table adequate and well designed? Are their information duplicated? Are there too many? Are all references cited in the text included in the reference list? After you have gone through a checklist and there have no any question, so you may try to submit your article to the intended journal. Thank you for the listening. Have a good time.